Aloha and welcome to Challenge Accepted. I'm Thomas and I'm here with Frank.
Hey, everybody.
And tonight we are talking about the 5th episode of House of the Dragon, Regent. What'd you think about this one?
This is definitely a post-epic moment setting up the rest of the season. It's a very important episode. It was a slower one. It was a shorter one, but very needed, I think. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. You know, I didn't expect 2 high octane episodes back to back. And yeah, we needed to see the fallout from this terrible situation, this battle. And we see it from both sides, I think, really, really well. You know, we get to see it from the green side and how Aemond's taking advantage and how Sir Criston Cole probably feels conflicted with what he's done. And then on the opposite side with Rhaenyra and how she has to handle this. And also Daemon still being gone and what he wants. So I thought it was really, really well done episode. And Corlys too. I think Corlys had, you know, a quiet and subtle, very important part in this episode.
Yeah, he is part of the section of setting up for the future. Like, he's the best transitional because he's dealing with his wife's death, and let's not forget also his daughter and also his son. In his eyes, he doesn't know the son survived, so he thinks she's dead too. And prepping for a future that's so uncertain. He has 2 granddaughters. He offers one of them the throne, or his throne, and she's like, "No, I'm fire and blood. You need somebody who's salt and water." And so
Great
yeah, the
call
idea
out.
that the idea that now he has to find a new way to lead his house is going to lead to the rest of the season. It's cool.
Okay. Right on. I think in the previous episodes we talked about too, the dragon blood, that definitely comes into play in this episode too. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, should we fire off this 2-minute rundown?
Yeah, but as you mentioned, the dragon blood or the dragon seeds, just a heads up, guys. And a lot of the clips that we release on TikTok and stuff like that, or other places, people who know what's happening from the books, try not to comment what happens. We've had that already a few times where people are like, "Oh, but this guy does this." It's like, hey, like, we're a season away from that. Don't mention that. So just want to throw that out there, guys. We love you sharing comments. We always push it at the end of every episode, but also don't spoil anything. I try not to. You should try not to as well. Okay.
All right.
Let's get that recap going. You got my timer for me?
Yep. Ready, set, go.
Okay, so both teams, green and black, they are retreating from that terrible battle at Rook's Rest to kind of mend their wounds. We see that everybody's mourning the loss of Rhaenys, especially her husband Corlys of Driftmark, also known as Sea Snake, and Queen Rhaenyra over on Dragonstone. Meanwhile, over on King's Landing, the blockade that's been set up by Team Black is really wearing down on all the citizens, and there's a lot of unrest with the citizens of King's Landing. Criston Cole returns with Melees on the back of the head of Melees on the back of a wagon, parading it around town. It does kind of anger people against Team Black, but also shows the weakness of the dragons in total, which is not good. Aegon is brought back as well. He is being tended to by the Maesters. It is not sure if he'll survive this. Alicent wants to somehow gain control of the situation again and lead the King's Council. But there's Aemond there to say, like, nope, it should be me. We shouldn't put a woman in charge because that gives legitimacy to Team Rhaenyra, and we have to show that it should only be a man leading. And so Alicent's dug her own grave. On Rhaenyra's side, though, her own council sucks and is not listening to her because she's not pulling anything. Even her son, Jacaerys or Jace, is kind of being a jerk too, and he's going to have his one good moment at the end of this thing. Daemon continues to have nightmares, and he's threatening other people, and he's barely holding on to his wits. That's pretty much all that's going on with Daemon right now. They're kind of milking him. In the Vale, finally, we get to the Vale. We see that Rhaena is there to represent Team Black to Lady Arryn, and Lady Arryn's like, "Where's my big dragons?" And she's like, "I know. Spoiler alert, that's going to be addressed." I just said those spoilings. Shit, my bad.
Yeah. No worries.
How much longer do I have? Oh, 5 seconds?
seconds.
Oh my god. Twins. No, god damn. So much more. My details are way too much. I don't.
Yeah.
My bad, guys.
But
I went way too detailed.
it's all good. Yeah, it's all good. We see that Lord Corlys and I want to say Baela speak, which I thought was a great conversation.
It's Baela,
that you
yeah,
brought
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it ends with Jacaerys coming back and talking to Rhaenyra and basically saying like, "Hey, I know, we have all these dragons. Like maybe there's other people who can be dragon riders. They don't necessarily need to be a part of our house. Right. And thus going back to what we said before we started the rundown of the dragon seeds. And we see that one of the dragon seeds kind of has his own little story in this episode. And I love that. It feels like it's fully leading him up to be taken over. And we see that him and his family try to escape in this episode and they can't. So of course he wants to leave. What better place to go than to, somebody who will embrace him. Little does he know, maybe into the arms or wings of a dragon.
So yeah, there's so much more detail given to Ulf and other characters that'll become dragon seeds. And then for those wondering, I believe that Rhaena's taking the spot of Nettle. So just keep that in mind. There's one dragon seed we haven't seen at all, but really Rhaena kind of fits it perfectly. And so I think she's gonna be that. And
Nettle is a dragon seed.
She's a dragon seed that looks just like Rhaena too. So it makes sense that they would just give it to Rhaena because otherwise Rhaena doesn't have much of a story afterwards. And so yes, Ulf will eventually get a better position. He'll kind of, but I like how they're making sure to show how sympathetic he is right now, and showing that hey, there's a lot of distrust amongst the Team Green in control, and so that gives him motivations to want to seek out the other people. And that's good. Yeah. And then I like the use of using the scrolls as kind of because we've seen this beautiful room with really fantastic lighting that Jason and Rhaenyra were talking in, and has this great lighting coming through the scrolls. And now it's we could use the scrolls to trace back all the bastards born with Targaryen blood or whatever blood. And so it was cool use of the environment of the set itself.
Yeah. I mean, really putting the sets, even today when they're looking at Rhaenyra's table and they're plotting out the land and you see the candles burning on it and you see kind of that fire going through the different kind of breaks in the table, or I guess it looks like little lightning bolts throughout it. Man, it looks so beautiful. So
it does.
Yeah, the sets, as they say in every episode after it's done, they went bigger and better in season 2, for sure. They definitely did. The sets are awesome, but yes, that was great. And also I think they've set up Jace's almost betrayal yet furthering the cause in his own way. I feel justified in what he's done. He's been frustrated with his mom not showing her strength and not showing her power. So of course he would go somewhere where he thinks he can help build the army, and I thought that was cool. He's kind of done something that I feel like Robb Stark did a little bit too. Maybe overpromised and will not be able to deliver.
Yeah. So speaking of Robb Stark, great call out on that because that's very important to what just happened in this episode. So the twins, that's the place where he met with the Freys on that bridge at the twins. And that is the place where Robb Stark had his red wedding. So if you guys remember how Robb Stark ended, it was there.
I was like, this bridge looks so familiar. I'm like, something bad happens after I see this bridge.
Something real bad. But yeah, Jace, it's not that he's wrong. He's just a little young and ambitious, and he needs to slow his roll a little bit. But the fact that it's his idea to do the Dragon Seed move is vital. It's so important for Rhaenyra. Right. And I think kind of gives him some legitimacy as the next in line, the next heir.
She even says she's proud of him too, though. I think she thinks it's a good move,
Yeah. And then speaking of heirs, we got Daemon over there who's straight up claiming to be king now, and even saying I will take King's Landing, and then she could join me out as a queen on my side. Pushing aside any doubt on whether or not he's loyal to her anymore. He is not when it comes to ruling. And I think Daemon, they're kind of dragging his story out a little bit longer. It feels not needed, I think. As a viewer and everything, as a reader or whatever, I don't think it's needed.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of on that journey. I love Matt Smith, so it's okay,
of
cool.
Course, yeah.
Not reading the books, I'm oh, sweet, more Matt Smith. This is great. And it kind of shows where his intentions have lied for me, truthfully now. It's for a while at the end of last season, it very much seemed like he was on Rhaenyra's side. And now, I don't know. If anything, it feels a little weird for me that it's but I still really want this. And it feels like they're trying to push that more. I guess I didn't get that from the way last season ended. And I guess you can kind of see the tension throughout the season, but it does feel a little bit why is he betraying her out of nowhere for me? Yeah. A little bit. Yeah. But I don't know.
And why does he care about Harrenhal so much? He's there so much and thinking that taking care of Harrenhal, which is bankrupting him, will lead to the King's Landing. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think what it is they're giving him some of Aemond's story. Because Aemond is there for a long time, but generally later in the story. So I think that kind of might be what it is. in that case, Alice Rivers is even more important. So the woman he keeps talking to, the witch, will become even more important to him.
Yeah, I mean, she seems very important now. She seems like one of the only people that really knows what's going on there. She seems like one of the only people that actually knows how Harrenhal works. It plays. I don't know if it feeds her strength or her power, but she very much knows the desires, the troubles, the worries of Daemon. And I think it's great. Like, I don't know again about the books, like if he cheats on her or not, but it very much seems like
Constantly.
she's coercing her. Yeah, okay. But it seems like she's coercing him and in a way, but like also kind of nagging him too. Like, you can't have this. And yet I know everything that's going on with you and I could fix this. And also like, I think this goes into like probably one of the most important things that I've already seen on the internet, which is like everybody talking about that dream he has and with his mom, where they're
Yes.
basically hooking up.
I thought that was his sister-in-law at first. I thought that was Viserys' wife. But then when he said mom, I'm like, oh, that's not the same actress. Ew. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
nuts.
Is that something that's called out in the books?
No, because the
specific scene?
books are told by like third hand. So nobody knows what his dreams are. That's just between him. So there's all kinds of little context like that. Like how Criston Cole's not saying that, oh, Aemond attacked Aegon in the sky, by the way. He's not mentioning it, so it's not going to be in the books because it has to be the guy in the white cloak. He's the one that like passes the word down to get to eventually the person's writing the book. So yeah,
The historians, yeah.
they're not going to mention
So
it
wait.
at that table. Then nobody will ever know about it in history.
Right. Okay. So to go back to the scene though, where Daemon is hooking up with his supposed mom, what does that mean to you? Like, what did you
Favorite
get out
son,
of that?
I assume, because she did say something like, "Don't you wish you were born first?" I think it kind of like it kind of goes back to Aemon's whole thing with his mom, where they just feel like they're overshadowed by the older brother. I feel like. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It just felt. I think that is like the simple definition of like, yeah, I was overshadowed. If only I had been born first. But I'm wondering if there's like a deeper connection to what's going to happen to him in the future. Is there something that this is alluding to, that happens in Harrenhal, or he finds out, like, I saw a crazy rumor, and you can confirm or deny, I guess, if you want to. But one thing was saying, like, he's actually Rhaenyra's dad and not her uncle. So there was that kind of thing going on, where it was like,
I've never
oh,
heard
he
that.
hooked up with her mom. Okay. So yeah, so I had no idea. I was like, what? But yeah, it is unsettling, especially you see what they do. It's not just simply banging it out. There's other things that they go deeper in. You're like, that's just disgusting now.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. I for a second too did think it was Viserys' wife. That's why.
That's what I thought it was. And I just think he's got such a messed up psyche, and I think it's kind of hurting him as a character. But he's also a super flawed character. What do you think about the whole like Bracken fight, like the warring families around him? What do you think about that, and him trying to banner the River Lords?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really land as hard until I watched the after show where the story creator and everything was basically saying how in the Riverlands, they don't care about what goes on in King's Landing. They don't care what your title is. They don't care like what you think you are and your status. Like, it's a different set of rules out here. So I think it does kind of bring that point across where it's like, I don't care about that crap. Like, we need to take care of what we need to take care of right here, right now. And I don't care who you think you are. So I guess I do appreciate it. But in the episode, it just kind of feels like Daemon doesn't care about any of this. Like, why should we care about this? Is this going to help him get the army for Rhaenyra or not? So it does kind of feel like a little confusing.
It reminds. I think it's based off of I believe it's called the Umberlands in early British history. Like the northern part before you get to like the Scotland area was like just constantly changing whoever was in charge. Like Vikings were tossed in there too. So it's kind of just being like so much infighting amongst smaller families that goes back just because family bloodlines. So it makes it messy. And I think Daemon trying to come over there. They've kind of mentioned it a few times. We're like, oh, he's herding cats up there. We actually don't have to worry about Daemon because he's going to be busy the whole time. It's just distracting him from what he really wants to do. And he's Daemon. He should be on his dragon destroying King's Landing or something crazy like that. But instead he's like,
Right.
you are useless to me. And that's the funny thing too, by the way. where Rhaena is with the Vale and the Starks, who we haven't seen since episode 1 of season 2, are the actual two families that matter. And he's sitting there dealing with these guys. It's like, as a whole, you guys are important, but not individually like this.
Right, right. And I think it goes back to show too. This show is doing a good job overall of showing who is a warrior and who is a leader. Right. There's some people who just need to know, like, I'm a leader I'm not suited for the battlefield. Something that Aegon probably should have realized. Granted, he has the dragon, but that doesn't change the fact that he hasn't seen battle. He doesn't know what it entails. And ultimately it screws him over. While on the opposite side, I think the same is going to be said about Aemond and, for that matter, Daemon. They're warriors, like you were saying. He should be going off and burning King's Landing, taking out Sir Criston Cole's liege and all that stuff. But yet he's in Harrenhal fixing it up and chopping wood and laying brick. You're wasting your talents. You're not a leader. He can't even convince the Brackens with his dragon to bend the knee. He's just like, dang, I thought that was going to go different. Away.
That shot too, when the dragon like settles down behind it, I was like, oh, that's a good shot. That's something for the wallpaper on your computer. Yeah, that was cool.
Totally. Yeah. I was like, oh, maybe he burns them down right here, but the dragon felt defeated like he felt defeated.
Mm-hmm. One of the things too that Daemon could be doing right now, I just thought about this while you're talking about it, is Sunfire is still sitting at Rook's Rest, like healing up. Just go over there and nuke that girl. She's literally stuck on the ground. Like, she's the easiest target possible, and you'll get one of the big dragons off the field. Like, she's so injured that she's not a threat for a very long time, but she's sitting there just healing. So, that's another thing. It's just like, go over, fly her real quick, take her out, and then come back to Harrenhal if you need to.
Right. And another thing of showing Daemon's short-sightedness, right? Because Rhaenyra even says, like, oh, should we go get Daemon? And she's like, no, why? Or should we send a crow to him? And she says, why? So he can just ignore another message. And so it shows like he's in the way of so many different things, not only of him really ascending, taking the throne, but also like helping Rhaenyra actually take the throne. And then, maybe he's not king, maybe he's king consort, but still he'll be at the Iron Throne. So he's really just kind of hurting himself from two fronts here. And I love how they just do that in this story. They really build it out really, really well. But Daemon, it's a weird one. It's a weird one over at Harrenhal.
I look forward to him kind of getting back into the program. And then we have also with the rest of, like, let's go with Team Black here, trying to figure out how to control everything. She needs a good hand of the queen. And so she goes to Corlys. And I liked when Baela is talking to Corlys and she mentions, like, you're freaking Corlys, the sea snake, like, you're a legend. And then that moment where he says, do you think they knew it was all for her? Like, oh, that was a beautiful moment. But they do mention, like, Asai, a lot of these places that are, like, of legend. They're so far away. They're so magical. It's like of legend, of amazing things, and like they're inspired by different parts of our world as well. Like, there's different places that are inspired by that. But like, he's Corlys Velaryon, and he's so defeated amongst Targaryens. But it's like, brother, you've been to their homeland, and no Targaryen alive has been to their homeland. That's crazy, know. Right. So I like that it was a little bit of a pep talk. I think he needed to be back to the sea snake he is.
Yeah, it's really well done. And then to have Baela come his granddaughter, and also like she's probably one of the only people. Like, I don't even think Rhaenyra would have been able to get across to him as well as Baela does, if that makes sense, right? So it's cool how they're using her character. She feels so important. Both sisters feel so important to the cause and Team Black. I think she's such a cool character. And that conversation, I've seen granddaughters talk to grandpas, and it's not like grandsons talking to a grandpa. Like, your grandpa wants you to be tough, and he wants you to be like him and to, be stronger, like, and also like not make the mistakes he makes. But like, granddaughters are a different thing, right? Like, grandfathers can't help but just have pride for them and love them and just, I don't know, it's just like a different relationship for most people, right? So I just appreciate too, she very much knows who she is. She knows what she represents, and she knows where she wants to be. And so her turning down, like, you could be the Lord of Driftmark or the Lady of Driftmark. And she's like, I don't want that. Like, I'm a dragon rider. It's so cool. Like, that conversation was so great. And shout out to actor Corlys, like, what he's done in this episode, man. It was really, really powerful in this episode.
In general, he's a very good actor. Yeah, he's just been kicking butt on this. And then, the fact that they're making the daughters of Lena and Damon so important. I think is going to go back to eventually at some point, Damon have to reconcile the fact that he is ignoring his own children and that Rhaenyra, their stepmother, is far more of a mother to them than anybody else. So he probably will regret that someday.
Yeah, yeah. I think we do. Isn't there a shout out in one of the images or the nightmares? I think there was a call out somewhere on that. Where it's like, what about your kids or something? And yeah, it was like so brief, blink and you missed it kind of moment. But you're like, yeah, you are bad dad. Why are you not
like the
with
ghost
them?
of Lena did that to him. Like his wife, their mother,
There you go.
said that
That's
like,
right.
like why are you not there with their kids, who are struggling? And he's always been really bad with Bela because she can't. Not Bela, sorry, Rhaena because she doesn't have a dragon. Which that's why I think she'll be replaced with this Nettle character because there's a good conversation to be had there. But yeah, and then I love Bela. She's such a dope character, and the way she's just like ready to fight and it's like, yes, get out there. I can't wait to see what they can do with her. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she's also the consort in a sense, or like the conciliary of Jaehaerys too.
Yep.
And she kind of gives him the pep talk of like, hey, I want to do this, maybe you should, or maybe you're going to be the only option. I don't know. She's like that sounding board for him. And I like that kind of relationship and what they're planting the seeds for there too. But we haven't even got to the green side. And I think the green side is very much as much as, they're parading around this great victory at Rook's Rest. The people very much see this symbol of the Targaryen power basically decapitated and getting patrolled through the city, which again, it shows like, well, your nukes aren't invincible. Like somebody can take them down. Like if you can make a god bleed, then, you can take them down. And I think that's very much what has been shown now to the people in King's Landing, along with, by the way, you're not just citizens, you're prisoners too.
Yeah, it was a major miscalculation, and amongst King's Landing and Flea Bottom and stuff like that, where they're already just not happy with how things are going, you're just adding fuel to the fire. So, which of course, speaking up back to the Rhaenyra sent through the White Worm, sent somebody to go basically start riots, and it's a vulnerability that's just silly, and that's what happens when you have a war-minded guy now in charge with Aemond and then Criston Cole as his hand. Instead of somebody like Alicent, who's done the job before and knows that it's more important to keep peace and everybody stays fed and happy than it is to like strike at your enemy at the cost of your own hand. Like that's just so silly. Yeah.
Right. So wait, really quick though, you said the White Worm. Is that what Mysaria is called?
That's her name. That's her nickname is the White Worm. Like, yeah, she's the
White Worm. Okay.
By the way,
Okay.
speaking of just a quick little book thing, we're talking about Daemon a lot. It's believed through Mushroom, which is one of the narrators essentially, that the White Worm and Daemon continued to sleep together, and Rhaenyra just like allowed it as kind of like I don't want to have to deal with them, so please, thank you for taking that off my table. So yeah, that's kind of like a throuple that they have there with those three.
Oh, okay, interesting. I like what they're doing Mysaria too. I mean, she's very much like Tyrion Lannister in a sense, like she's kind of becoming the advisory to the queen, and she's becoming this kind of leader in a way, really a strategist in terms of like the way Rhaenyra should move as a queen. It's fascinating. It's very cool how they're doing it. I think Daenerys had somebody like that too. I guess it was Tyrion, but also she had that one lady who was a slave along with Grey Worm.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. Oh God, what is her name? But yeah, everybody like Stannis had Melisandre, and for the life of me, there's Littlefinger, of course. And then I'm trying to remember the series, of course, but oh God, I can't remember the spider from Game of Thrones. His nickname.
Yeah, I just remember because her and Grey Worm had that relationship, but like obviously Grey Worm didn't have a thingy, and so he didn't have a worm, and he couldn't use it. But she becomes this advisor, like very much, again, like this advisor to Queen Daenerys. So I like how they're using Mysaria as well, and she still has her hands very much in the lower people of King's Landing, and I think that's a dangerous opponent to have against you.
Yeah. What do you think about the whole problem with Alicent on her hands of she can't be in charge because then it gives legitimacy to Rhaenyra? What do you think about that?
That I think Alicent screwed herself.
Yeah.
I mean, this is that my feeling. Again, I don't know what happens in the books, but there was every chance for her to kind of seize power, to put her kids in check, and she was selfish. She was, breaking all of her own rules. Was sleeping with Sir Criston Cole, not focusing on her kids, and it's gone to bite her in the ass. And she didn't focus on the fact that Aegon and Aemond had this battle going on. Or if she did, she didn't say anything about it. So now that it's at the point that it's at, and Sir Criston Cole won't tell her that Daemon or Aemond has burned Aegon and he's turned against her. And now Hightower, her dad, is gone. Like she has no power. And so she's really put this upon herself by playing the hand and also like Rhaenyra gave her the chance a couple episodes ago to be like, you could stop this all now if you want. And she's like, it's out of my hands. No, now it's out of your hands completely. Nobody wants to listen to you. So I think the realization of her shortcomings and now who's in charge is really hitting her.
Yeah, it's a tough position to be in, especially with the fact that she kind of belittled Aegon, right? Like, just be silent, shut up in the last episode. Then he gets drunk and he goes and he gets himself hurt. And Helena comes up to her and says, like, I forgive you. And previously, so there's the questions like, what is she forgiving her for? Because she has prophetic dreams. And then we see Helena talk to, Aemond. She does not know about that, but she dreamt it. So she knows that Aemond attacked. So yeah, there's like this complicated thing where if you just treated your kids fairly, each of them, and you would have been better off. And like Otto Hightower is a terrible person in a lot of ways. He used his daughter Alicent to get control of the Targaryen family. And so as much as she hates her dad for that, she respects him. And now she's doing the exact same thing and just using your kids and essentially feeding Helena to Aegon, this terrible person. And it's like, man, if you were a better parent, you wouldn't be in the situation you're in right now. So you kind of deserve it. And it just sucks.
Yeah. I mean, I think the best parent who's maybe the one sort of in the worst position is Rhaenyra. Like, she actually wants to be a good mom. She cries for her kids. Although we see Alicent is very much sad for Aegon. I mean, rightfully so. It's a terrible injury. But like, Rhaenyra really does want her kids close and safe and all these things. And she's kind of forced to put people in places she doesn't want to. But I mean, she would have never asked Rhaenys to go, but knew that she couldn't stop her. Same thing, Jace goes off and does this thing, and she is proud of him, which is the thing that she should be telling him, although she's mad because he didn't listen to her. Like, I think, honestly, Rhaenyra is the best parent that I've seen. And I don't know if that's going to help her either, but we get to see two different types of moms, I guess.
I think the best parent's Helena. Because Rhaenyra could have just been like, fine, take the chair. I don't care. I want to be a good mom, but she didn't. She had to make sure she had her claim that her dad gave her, and she lost Luke pretty fast because of that. So there's that. But Helena, I feel so bad for that character because she's only the victim. She has like great witty insight to add because of her prophetic dreams, but she's just such a victim. It feels so bad for her. Every time I see her on screen, I'm just like, girl, get out of this.
I know. But the thing is, like, I haven't seen too much of her. Like, she's barely in season 1. And then what I've seen this season, it's like, yes, it's terrible. Her son gets killed. She has to witness it. But it's too soon to tell what her personality is, if that makes sense. Right now, she just seems quirky and weird. Like, I feel like I know more about Alice than I do her. And then the other side too is like, still Rhaenyra, like, still feels like if I'm not in charge and I'm not able to pass down the secrets of what we know, the whole world's doomed, So like, I still kind of feel like she's moving from a more noble place, other than I deserve the throne, which was very much Aegon, which is very much Aemond too. It's just like, I deserve it. That to me is more selfish.
You're very right. That's a great point. Yeah, it's a complicated mess. Yeah. What other things did we need to talk about out of this episode? Because I think what's the most important thing is what this episode's setting up, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah. I think that covers a lot of it. I got, Rhaenyra talking to Mysaria, and then the last thing was the main thing I wanted to shout out was the Lord Corlys and Baela. So I think we checked everything. Yeah.
I'm going through my list right here. It felt like there was more that went on because there were so many conversations, but really that was basically it.
Yeah.
But most importantly now,
those are the biggies.
that's the biggies. Most importantly now, we have Daemon sitting in Harrenhal. We've got we have the Greens that feel victorious and are going to get aggressive, right? Because they feel like, oh, we just took out one of their big dragons. Obviously, Rhaenyra's not going to come in on her dragon, so they have only small dragons left. They're going to get a little cocky, and we have a building tension now fueled by Rhaenyra amongst Flea Bottom and all these different areas in King's Landing. So get ready for that. And most importantly, now we're going to be going through the tomes on that wall to find the dragon seeds, people who could ride these dragons. And that's going to be insanely cool. I invited the parents over. We had pizza and stuff like that to watch this. And my dad's like, yeah, but are a lot of people going to die when they come up to like, I'm like, oh yeah, they are. When people like, if you're not the right kind of person to come ride a dragon, the dragon will make sure you know that by killing you. So yeah, it's to me, it's so like, it reminds me so much of How to Train Your Dragon when like in the beginning of the first movie where they're just like trying and falling and everything's going bad. It's like, that's about to happen on Dragonstone right now.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I want to see Alan's brother kind of get kicked up, or Alan try to take on this challenge. What is his name? Ulf? That you were saying?
Ulf the blacksmith. Yeah, we saw a lot of him.
Yeah, he I don't know what it is. I like that character a lot. Like, I mean, he looks like a Targaryen. You're like, how could people see him and not think, yeah, like that dude's definitely a Targaryen. Look at his hair. But I mean, yeah, I like him a lot already. The guy that we saw, I think a couple episodes ago, that was in the bar or the inn, and when Aegon comes in, I don't know, I keep saying his name weird. That was also like, he seems like a cool character. I think all of them are dragon seeds. I don't know how they're going to find them, but I think because of what's going on and the plant that's going down into Flea Bottom, I think you said, or like the lower levels.
Flea Bottom's like the poorest area of King's Landing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I feel like there's like a crazy rumor mill. In Hawaii, we would call it coconut wireless. Basically, like all the neighbors start chit chatting and like, did you know this guy said this? And did you know he said he belongs to this family? And that somehow is going to get the word out. But yeah, I'm excited to see all those people come into play and possibly ride a dragon.
Me too. Yeah. This episode was slow, and I liked it still, but it was slow. But it was like, okay, this is cooking up the final 3, I think it is, episodes we have for this. So, yeah, we're in a good spot.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, it was good. I even when these episodes are slow, I love them. Like I just have nothing bad to say about House of the Dragon.
So going forward with Challenge Accepted, we have the finale to The Boys and the finale to The Acolyte coming up this week, guys. We're gonna be live streaming The Acolyte. I think we were thinking.
Yeah,
that'll be interesting. And then so we're gonna get back into doing movies pretty soon. We might take a week off. I think I'm not sure, it's up to you, but
well, after this week I got Comic-Con, so
you are taking a week off then.
Yeah, I will be out, just out covering it. Hopefully, I mean, the plan is to be in Hall H on Saturday for Marvel Studios presentation. Just the schedule just came out for San Diego Comic-Con, so I'm going through the list right now to see where I got to be. But yeah. So hopefully, I have something cool to report about what Marvel Studios is doing, in this upcoming years.
Yeah, that'll be dope. And then, but what I would like for you guys to do is head over to Threads, Twitter. I still check out Twitter, Instagram, and send us movie ideas that or TV shows that you guys would like for us to talk about. So we want to start building up that catalog of, oh hey, Johnny from Tucson says he wants to check out Raising Arizona. Gotcha, we got it. Whatever. Let us know. We'll start filling that out, and we'll start banking those up, guys. You at San Diego Comic-Con are going to be very busy. Can you tell everybody about what you're going to be doing there?
Yeah. So it's going to be quite the crazy one. There's no COVID. There's no strikes that we have to deal with. So I've heard that the city is going crazy. There's not one hotel. There's not one Airbnb available right now. Wednesday, they always start with a preview night, which if you can get in, I highly recommend it. It's the best time to shop and kind of meet some of your favorite creators and everything. But on Thursday, I get to do a panel talking about the movies why do movies go under the radar with underrated podcasts and a few other co-hosts and writers, critics, and podcasters. So it should be fun.
Yeah, that underrated podcast, by the way, guys, is hosted by Derek, who is on our show to talk about The Cable Guy. So, friend of the show, of course. But yeah, that'll be great, guys. So if you're in the San Diego Comic-Con and you're wanting to hang out with Thomas, go check out his panel. That's really cool. We'll leave links in the description, obviously, but also we'll be sharing it like crazy on our social media. So go hang out with Thomas. That'd be cool.
Yeah. That'll be great. It'd be great. Plus, there's a party we're going to on Tuesday night here in San Diego as well with Modern Times, a local brewery, and a local comic book shop, Kamikaze Comics. And then Wednesday night, I think on pre-sale night, we're going to grab drinks. So hit us up on the socials. I'll chat with you. We'll find somewhere. I think we got a bar in mind.
There we go. All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Aloha.